before I tell you about the music, I'd like to tell you, Chuck knows I love to talk. And, I always wanted to be a concert pianist from like the age of 5. But then I had out-of-network medical surprise bills, and I've met so many amazing people in this room that I actually think it's more interesting to be a patient advocate. Just quickly, I never would have imagined 2 years ago when I got that call from my insurance company that said, guess what, your surgeon was out of network. I never thought I would get through it emotionally, physically, and I never imagined the journey that it would take me on through last year and going to Albany. It started with Mark Scherzer, and I'm sorry he's not here, but I really wanted to thank him. Mark, as you know, is this calm, brilliant man, and he just held my hand through this nightmare, kept telling me, don't worry, but even I saw him start to get worried after a while. And then when things didn't look like it was going in a positive direction, I wrote a letter to the Department of Financial Services, specifically to Superintendent Losky and to Troy and Laura Dillon. I sent that email on a Friday night in November at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I got into a taxi on East 95th Street, and within 15 minutes, my phone lit up with a 518 area code, and I thought, 518, what? Oh, it's Albany. And I said, no, this could not be. It was the Department of Financial Services. Troy spent time with me on the phone. Do you know, he resolved my medical out-of-network surprise within 24 hours. Now, and I'm not going to get emotional because
Laura helped.
Yes, they all helped, but he saved our lives. The Department of Financial Services saved our lives. So that was my second group of heroes. And then Mark introduced me to the wonderful Chuck Bell. So it's just been an instant, this is the loveliest man ever, other than my husband and my father there. And I love going to Albany with him in February. It was freezing, and it was great on Amtrak drinking wine on the way home. And it was better than any psychiatrist because it was free of charge, and there was no out-of-network surprise. So it was great therapy.
Well, we don't usually win this often.
And to meet Mike and Heidi, and it's really been a tremendous experience for me as a pianist. So thank you for having me in your world, and now I'm going to invite you a little bit into my world. And I'm playing tonight just some very light music from South America. That is kind of my other passion, other than being a patient advocate. Music from South America, from Brazil, from Mexico, from Buenos Aires, just so beautiful and not always well known on the concert stage. And now there's kind of a movement towards South American piano music, and I'd like to share some of my favorite pieces with you tonight. Petrie was very devoted to folk music and preserving folklore tradition in his music, though he did go to Paris to study with the famous composer Nadia Boulanger. This is a set of pieces in intermezzo, which is just based on a simple Mexican folk tune. And then the interesting piece, Malgré Tout, is a piece written for left hand only. There's a lot of repertoire written for pianists for just one hand, and ironically, it's always the left hand. And I always say, well, what happens if you hurt your left hand? There's not any right hand music. But this piece was actually written for a sculptor, Manuel Carreras, who actually severed his right hand in a sculpting accident. And Ponce wrote this piece dedicated to him, Malgré Tout, despite it all. Despite it all, I can still do my art. If you go to Mexico City, there is a sculpture, and it says Malgré Tout, despite it all. And the last piece in this set is a group of, is a theme and variations based on a Mexican folk tune. Thank you.